Now, Southern Africa is experiencing the worst drought in more than 30 years, which has been attributed to climate change. Buildings are responsible for a large share of energy-related carbon emissions that are contributing towards climate fluctuations. The construction industry is also responsible for other damaging impacts to our environment due to the materials used in their processes. But tackling this issue in the construction industry has proved to be a challenge. However, going green when building homes and businesses could have a lasting effect on our environment. I'm joined in studio now by the Commercial Manager at REHAU, Mr. Tony O'Neill. Very good morning to you, Tony. Thank you for joining us.
Morning.
Why are we seeing this green thinking only now in the construction industry? Are we a little bit behind the game?
Well, I think it's been there a while, but as always, things are dominated by finance, and it's been in Europe a long time, and I think now we're starting to get to grips with it here.
Talking about that, just give us a quick overview where we are. We see these kinds of images appear in and over South Africa, and we see new materials being used in the industry. How do you quantify whether a building is green?
Okay, well, it's got to have a sustainable product. It's got to have a product that reduces energy, both in heat loss from the building and in heat gain from outside, without using mechanical devices.
Yeah. And what kind of materials should be used in these processes to give you that the green outcome that we all want these days?
Okay, well, again, it needs to be an energy-efficient material, a material that doesn't conduct. So a material like the one we use, which is UPVC, which doesn't let the heat in and doesn't let the cold out. So you need a high-performing, energy-efficient window material.
How do we balance cost and need in this space? Because surely these kinds of materials will cost a little bit more, one would think.
They do, but I think we need to look more long-term than how much that's costing for that exact project at that time. We need to look over a longer period of time. These products are going to be installed for 30, 35 years. So I think if you look at the payback and if you look at the amount of time they're in for and their benefits, it evens out.
The next 20 years for construction in South Africa, if you had a magic picture that you could paint us, what will our buildings start to look like then in 20 years' time?
Well, I don't think the buildings need to look drastically different. Some of the materials used can look exactly like they are now. What has to happen is regulation has to drive the industry, because the industry often, wherever you are, won't do it on its own back. So with regulation and with controlled regulation as well, we can get there.
What about things like skills within the construction industry? I'm sure that when we're talking about New World construction and materials used and the like, there's a shortage of these kind of skill sets in Southern Africa. How do we overcome that? There is.
And here at REHAU, we open academies. For us, training is a cornerstone of our development. If you can't train the people to understand and work within the industry professionally, then the industry doesn't move forward. So for us, it's very important.
Now, tell us a little bit more about the REHAU Academy, Windows Academy it's called, I think. Do you think that this could be a kind of example for other institutions to follow suit?
I think a lot of the high-end institutions are already running academies, and I think it's a way to benefit local employment, local education, and it's something that we're committed to.
Is there enough of a will at the moment within the construction sector or industry here in South Africa to make this shift?
Not yet, but I think it's coming. I think with the right legislation and the right public backing, I think we can move forward and get there.
Well, Tony, thank you very much for joining us. That is Mr. Tony O'Neill.
Thank you.
Tony O'Neill is the Commercial Manager at REHAU, and we're talking about where we are with regards to green construction here in Southern Africa, for the simple reason buildings can be some of the worst emitters of carbon on the planet, and we have to change the way we construct our buildings. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you. No problem.